views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Let me be your lighthouse so I can show you the way. Let me be your shining light, I'll keep you from drifting away. I'm the one that makes you try when...
Hello, this is Patty Hunter, Patty's Page. Welcome to my show. Today's special guest on Zoom is Mr. Kenyon Grey. Kenyon, where were you born and raised?
I was born in Detroit, Michigan, but I moved out here when my dad moved us out here to Arizona when I was 6. And his big thing was he wanted to be a cowboy. So moved me and my mom out here to be cowboys. Well, he and I were supposed to be cowboys. Mom, she was always
Did
mom.
it work out?
Yeah, the first thing he did was sold my mom's car and bought a gun. So she didn't understand it. She was upset about it, but he said, we can share my car. I just want a gun. So,
Okay.
yeah, but it was a Magnum 357 Combat 19, I think it was
A real gun?
Oh yeah, he was a cowboy. He strapped it on his hip.
I mean, the ordinary pistol, 45 or something. You have a gospel background.
Yes, I do.
Do tell.
Again, I think the reason my father's a pastor of a church, and he moved out here to start his church, and so that's why we moved out. Again, I was a kid. I thought it was to be cowboys, but he moved out and he started his church, and we grew up in his church. And I grew up playing bass guitar and singing on his worship team. And he wanted to start a band called the Hallelujah Traveling Band, and it was a family band. My sister, my brother, me, and my mother. My mother was she played violin on the stage, and she's my mother's the hero of my story, but not dad is he's just there, but mom is she's got my heart. But I was raised in my dad's church and singing gospel tunes, and I loved my thing that I do is I write many different styles: country, Americana, rock and roll. It's all got some Christian overtones to it because I write. I used to watch from the stage, and I would watch the music that we were singing, the music that we were playing, how it would uplift people. And I love that uplifting spirit, and it's just infectious. And that's kind of where I started writing from. I unpack everything that I've been through, all the pain, all the tragedy, all the stuff that I went through, and I've been through some dark times. But I unpack it, and I try to write in uplifting lyrics, and
to give hope.
Lyrics that's it. It's I just write from a place where it's the hope I still possess inside, and the world is going through some dark times, and so I try to write. I feel that where I fit in is I write uplifting lyrics, and I write messages of hope. So that's my
What
thing.
made you start to write uplifting spirit?
Well, it was
Something
my
tragic
mom.
happened in your life. I don't want to really
Yeah,
delve that into it, but I just curious.
I grew up in a kind of an abusive situation with my father. He was a man given to a lot of rage, and
Oh,
he would be verbally and He had two different sides. He had this, I'll give you the shirt off my back and I'll help you. But then he had this dark side he went into, that he would become violent and rage. And my mother and I felt his rage at times, physically and emotionally. And he walked under a dark cloud, I think. And so mom and I would feel his anger, but mom would always, she'd always have this reassuring smile. Sometimes it came through cut lips and bruise, but or I had a bruise or whatever it was, and but she'd give me this reassuring smile and would tell me that there was a God who loved me, and so I think that in watching how these folks, when they came into our church, would transform um, into they just lay all their pains, all their worries. They'd leave it at the door when they came inside the church, and they would just transform through the music. And that's why I just felt, well, music is very uplifting.
It's very
And
like therapy in a way.
yeah, and that's what it was for me. I would go through hard times, and uh, I started going down when I started walking under that dark cloud that my dad walked under. My mom would always pull me back and say, well, "Wait a minute, think about it." And so that's why I started writing from. I just thought, no, you know what? There's too much darkness, so I've got to write from a place of light. Yeah. It took me. I started a few bands. I opened up a guy named Billy Spoon, who I've known for many years. He's the one that kind of introduced me to Christian contemporary music, and I kind of was always I listened to older music, and I enjoyed that a lot. But he introduced me. He said, "No, you got to listen to. Let me broaden your horizon." So he played. I listened to the Beach Boys, the Beatles, some hair bands, Kansas, that kind of stuff, and he really opened up my eyes. I really like the earthy country vibes, and so I that's what I tend to write from. I stay right in that vein. It's a little bit of rock and roll, a little bit of country, a little bit of Americana, but it's got a little faith sprinkled in.
Are you a tenor or a bass?
I'm not.
In
I'm not a
betwixt.
bass. I, I wouldn't say I'm a bass. I would say I'm more of a tenor, but I'm on the lower register of the tenor.
Okay, I hear you.
Yeah.
Now you have recently released, have you?
Yes.
Uh,
Just last week released the day
when
of my debut song, "When Angels Cry."
when angels cry. Why'd you write it?
So again, this is one of my moments in life.
Doggy.
Like I always write from experiences. I was in a marriage that was it was going south.
Mhm.
I did everything I could to keep it, uh, yeah, and keep the marriage, but it just wasn't panning out. And she decided, whatever goes through someone's mind to make these decisions, she decided to take my children from me. And so she left the state and vanished, took my kids. And I remember the last day that I was with my daughter, I was outside washing my car, and I just finished, and I got that nice shine everybody you like to have. And I was inside detailing the uh, the interior, and she came, got out the door and crawled through the carport. And there was water on the carport, so she got muddy hands and feet, and she climbed up on the top of my hood. And I look up, and there's my daughter peering at me through the windshield. She
How
was
old was
two
she at
years
the
old.
time?
She was 2 years old, and
Oh,
I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And so I jumped out and grabbed her, and she's just laughing and just wanted to say hi to Dad. Took her inside, gave her a bath, and but a week later, she and her brother they vanished, and I don't know where they went. And So, and they were gone for 3 years.
Three?
And yeah, and all I had left were those feet prints that she left on the car, on my windshield. So I couldn't wash my car. So for months, I had private investigators looking. I was a firefighter for many years, and but you know, when this happens, you're the patriarch of your family, and you're embarrassed, and
Oh, yeah. And you
uh,
shouldn't be.
it's one of those things that you know, I'm the I'm the man, I'm the father. I have to keep my children safe, and I had my two older boys from a previous uh, marriage. And I was embarrassed because my previous marriage had ended, and that was kind of public. And so I was embarrassed that my second marriage was ending, and I made another bad choice. And I didn't know how to explain it to guys in the fire department, so they saw me struggling. But I was juggling the music. I was, my music career. I was juggling a job on the fire department. I was juggling raising my two older boys, who were going through some very pivotal moments at that time. And I had hired a private investigator to look for my children, and they found nothing. They had just vanished.
Where'd you
Um,
finally find them?
I got a phone call out of the blue about 3 years later, and my daughter was in a Montana hospital. And I was, this whole forms. Uh, when I was driving down the road, this is about a few months later, when I was driving down the road, a rainstorm began to happen. And as long as I had those feet prints in front of me, I felt connected to them. But when the rainstorm started happening, I panicked and I swerved to the side of the road and I jumped out, and I'm trying to cover the feet prints from being washed away by the rain with my hands, and I'm just sobbing. And I lost the battle, and I came home and I wrote this song, "When Angels Cry." About 3 years later, I get a phone call, and my daughter is in a Montana hospital, and she's suffering from severe injuries.
Oh, no.
Uh, and so I had to fly out there, and I got her and her brother, and they were placed in my custody. But they had suffered a lot, and I had suffered a lot, and I realized that music business, I couldn't stay in the music business and be and effectively raise. What you find out is, my children deserved a father who would sacrifice everything for them. And you grow up having these dreams, you write these songs, and you want to, but my children came first, so I put it on hold. And I at that time I'd gotten a record deal, and I had a
Nashville?
song, yeah, in Nashville. I had gotten an offer from a major label. I had a management team on Music Row developing me. We had one song playing nationally, and this, but nobody knew that I had missing children. So I had to uh, their needs when they came back, and I the needs of the children, my kids, just I couldn't continue in the music business, so I had to walk away. And I walked away from the management company, the record label offer. I walked
Family
away from
comes
everything.
first, my friend.
Yeah,
Always.
yeah. This song is out of all of that. So it started with the footprint. There's a lyric that says you were stolen away like your footprints in the rain, and that's the premise of where it started. But as time went on, and as it started evolving, and the music evolved into where it's at now. And about 2 years ago, I started. My children are all grown, and I started feeling that itch to pick up the music again. And for some reason, the this song kept on. You've got to do this song. You've got to get it out there. And
It's the Holy
more
Spirit
than
saying, do it, do it.
I think so. And it was, I think, but it also advocates for other left behind parents. That's what, when you lose your
Left
children,
behind.
left behind parents. And there's an organization that I try to send everybody. I did some online, and a great organization. It's called Find the Kids. But you look up Find the Kids and look up, it's just for missing children. And you go on my, if you go on my YouTube video, I get the website is right there. And, you know, I felt that it advocates for left behind parents and people who maybe have gone through what I've gone through. And, you know, sometimes, especially when you're in the fire, my
Mm.
kids' needs, you know, they went through some hard times. We went through some hard times. And I always felt that it was up to me to make sure that they were safe. And it was agonizing. But when I started feeling this pull back into the music, you know, it was years. And so I went to my kids and I said, what do you think? You guys are grown now and you're going to leave me here very soon.
Emptiness.
Yep, empty nest. And so I asked them what they thought. And my daughter, she looked at me and she says, Dad, you saved us. So go for it. You do what you feel you need to do. And I just felt at that time, it affected me in a way where I felt like I did my job,
You did, indeed.
you know, and she was safe. My youngest son was safe. And my oldest boys, they came, when my younger kids came to live with me, my older boys came to live with me. So we had a little Brady bunch, and I had met my current wife, and we had a little romance going too. And she stuck by me through all the hole in my heart and everything. She's a great girl, and she and we had a little family. And
So the songs that we're going to be putting on here is the latest one.
When Angels Cry, that's
Yeah.
that's the one that we put out a week ago. And you know, we're getting a lot of press on it. A lot of people like it, and so I'm very humbled by the response. I'm very humbled by that it's being picked up, and so I hope everybody enjoys it. But again, it advocates for, personally, on a personal level, I'm advocating for my children. I'm advocating for the event of what happened, and it speaks. I can speak from a personal level, but it's also advocating again for left behind parents, and even parents that maybe they didn't miss, their children weren't taken, but they're struggling through um, a bad marriage. They're struggling through hard times with their kids. But one thing that got me through is I never gave up hope. My kids were missing. My kids came back. When I was yearning for the music, when to express
God
myself,
knows.
you never give up hope. Kids, you know, when you have children through your first gift, God gave you, every parent, He chooses the parents. This is my belief, but I believe that God chooses the parents, and He gives the children you have are the children you're supposed to have, and they're gifts given to you by God Himself. And so it's up to you. And He says, ultimately, they're mine,
Yeah.
but they're yours. And so raise them, and you raise them and give them back to me. So that's kind of how I felt. Is I felt I got to get my children to a point where they're able to take care of themselves, able to get, and that was my focus. Again, it sounds like I'm talking a lot about myself, but my current wife, she helped me.
Yeah.
She helped me so much. She was tremendous.
You are helping to install the morals of the Lord Himself.
Yeah.
And it's up to them now that they left the nest to live by what they were taught, and how to respond in their own experiences as they go through life.
Yeah. And they're very well developed. My daughter has an incredible mind. All my children do. My son, and I watch them. They're like little variations of me. And as I watch them grow, it's like, oh yeah, she got that from me. She got that. Now they got stuff from their mom too, but I'm watching them and I'm like, wow, it's so amazing to watch my children as they develop.
You have more songs coming out in the future?
More songs coming out. Yeah, we're going to release another song I wrote about my current wife called Life Brand New. And I wrote it from the standpoint of meeting when we first met. And she was just like a breath of fresh air. And she was unlike anybody that I'd ever known. And there was a sweetness, but a strength about her. And the only thing I could equate is she's a very virtuous, she grace. When I think of my wife, I think the word grace. That comes to mind. And so very strong. She's been through her own battles and she's come out. She's just an impeccable person. You know, you look around us, the world is scary. The world is looks like it's going south, but it's not. That's all what I call lies or little deceptions. We are God's people. We are God's chosen people. We are all adopted heirs. Okay? He wants us, and his message is love. His message is love each other as you love yourself. That's biblical. You have to love each other as you love yourself. We got to get away from this divisiveness. We got to get away from this cancel culture. We are not everybody is different, but you've got to love each other. You've got to understand that we're just flesh and bone. We make mistakes. We're going to do stupid things. We're going to be desperate at times, pathetic at times. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to say things that are the stupidest things in the world. I've done so many stupid things in my life. I sit back here as this man and I laugh. I don't even know the man I used to be as a young man, but that's because I had a turnaround.
You had sure.
Absolutely. But it's when Christ, there's a scripture that the old man falls away. Meaning when it says the old man, that means mankind. We've got to understand that we are just people and we are going to make mistakes and we've got to love each other. We've got to accept each other. We live in this big world and we've got to get together and come together and work with each other so that we can have a little peace while we're here on this planet. That's what I feel I'm doing. Is I feel like I'm bringing hope. I'm bringing a message of love, a message of acceptance that no matter what you've been through, you can come to the Lord and say, this is what I've done. Is there a place for me on your team? Let's update it a little bit. Is there a place for me with you? 100% of the time. 100% of the time, God is going to say, there is a place for you. He's never going to deny it.
He has a room for us in a big mansion.
So that's my message is you're not alone.
No.
You have people, everybody makes mistakes, but you are accepted by our Creator.
This is towards the end of the show, my friend. This is Patty Hunter of Patty's Page with guest singer, Kenyon Grey. So, bless you, kiddo. And I hope to see you again on Zoom or speaking on that phone. I'll give you my phone number and all.
Okay.
We can chit-chat and all that.
Sounds good to me.
Blessings. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
all alone. I'm making sense of a falling home. When angels cry, when angels cry. Oh, baby girl sitting on daddy's knee. I'm holding you close, that's all I can see. When angels cry, when angels cry. Well, in my dreams I see a river, a holy place. I pray to God to give her your face so sweet. I miss your smile. Remember me, baby, daddy's gone for only a while. Never forgotten, have I hoped in vain? You were stolen away like your footprints see in the rain. When angels cry, when angels cry. Love is all I have to give, to watch you grow, to watch you live. A single prayer I pray at night, to see your face, to hold you tight. A gift I ask from my loving Father, to someday see you and your brother. Well, in my dreams I see a river, a holy place. I pray to God to give her your face so sweet. I miss your smile. Remember me, baby, daddy's gone for only a while. Well, in my dreams I see a river, a holy place. I pray to God to give her your face so sweet. I miss your smile. Remember me, baby, daddy's gone for only a while. When my angels cry.
Godspeed, my love, until we meet again. You're always in my heart and every dream. Don't let this time apart give in to all our fears. God will keep us close from up above. So until we meet again, Godspeed, my love. God is with us always, and for the rest of our lives.